Okay. Y'all did a great job on this. Just because there was like very minimal things and it was very clear and no like not a lot of grammatical and like formatting errors, and y'all are very thorough on everything.
Thank you.
So for the first slide that we had comments on, it was mostly just what I just said. Everything's cleared and able to be understood. Y'all, when you were saying about the deaf or hard of hearing people, the script was provided, so that was great because it reaches anyone that's able to be reached. And on the instructions, all of the instructions were very thorough, and clear and concise. Like y'all reached everything without being overcomplicated. So that was great. Hannah made a comment about some of the um titles. I couldn't think of the word. Some of the titles were capitalized all the way through and some weren't.
Okay.
So uh
Inconsistent.
yeah, y'all could just pick one or the other. We really like the inclusion of like the little screenshot cutout of where to click because that's very helpful. Moving on through the rest of the instructions. On the next slide, we're on the instructions for training, where it's telling you where the audio is. Um, Amonte made a comment about maybe moving it up. So because there's audio on previous slides, I believe.
Okay.
And the instructions for the audio is in one of the later slides once the instructions begin, so they could know how to do that and have that playing along like before it even like really gets started, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even
Yeah.
think that's a good point.
And we're just saying great job on all the instructions. Um, a lot of y'all's visuals throughout were very well organized and they made it really clear. Um, they didn't like overcomplicate or confuse anything or make it difficult to see or understand. Sometimes visuals can be a little messy. They were very clear, but I know that aside from this very first one, the very first one's easy to read and see, but some of the later ones where there are boxes and words inside, the background color was kind of light, like a pastel color, and then the words were white, and it was a little difficult to read them. So if we could just make the background a little bit darker or the words darker, one or the other, it would be easier to read.
Okay.
Moving on. Oh yeah, some of the audio were playing automatically when you get on the slides, and then after the first few, you had to go in and click on it. So I don't know if you could change the settings on those so they all play automatically, or either they all play like you have to click on it. But
I
it's
think,
easier.
yeah, I'm not sure if those can be changed or not. I think we've been trying. So I'm not, I think it just depends on like the type of computer that
Gotcha.
you have.
Okay. Dun, dun. Mm. I liked all the little knowledge checks. They were good because they went back and reviewed things without just being identical to what you just read, you know.
You do you guys, I don't know if this came up, but do you guys think that there is too many knowledge checks just because of, based on the like education and demographic of our DCS? Do you think there's too many, or do you think that's fine?
I
We
think
have
it
one.
was just enough because each time there was a new topic introduced, there was a knowledge check. And
Yeah.
that's how it will be in any other like training or thing that you would do. I think it was clear. And after each something new was introduced, there was one knowledge check.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I think that worked well. Um, some of the slides on the bullet points had periods at the end and some didn't, but since they're bullets, periods aren't really necessary. So those could be taken off or they all could be have periods. Just needs consistency throughout on that uh point. On this slide, the choices they're on the very last sentence, I think it needs a comma. So like if they do not know,
Okay.
comma, educate them. Um uh it could be worded a little bit differently if you wanted it to be. So like if they do not know, comma, then educate them. Um mm, yeah. So yeah, on this knowledge check, I think there was a typo. So it says, what can we do as DCS to help educate the autistic community? And Monty said it may need a, like, what can we do as a DCS to help educate the community?
See, I was
Um,
gonna talk about this one with you guys. Do you think it'd be better to write out DCS, direct care staff? Because I think in this um, sentence they mean it in a plural form because they have that we
yeah,
in there. So
yeah.
the DCS might
So
be
it wasn't,
confusing
it
if we just
wouldn't need the
wrote out.
a, yeah. Um,
I think that might be a good idea because I don't think we
I don't think,
put
yeah, I don't think it was written out
that
in
it
the
was
beginning. Or
so wait.
maybe just in one of the beginning slides, you could write it out completely just so that it's not misunderstood later, you know?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Moving on. My key's hot. And this is just going back to all of the titles being either capitalized all the way through, and there's not periods on some of these. I like that you guys clearly identify the difference between consent, innocent, and like who can give it, because in some cases it can be given by the client. Consent can be given by the client. Some cases it can't. Um, so making that differentiation really clears things up. Mm. Yeah, some of the slides didn't have your audio. Some audio was missing, I think. I don't know if this one was supposed to have audio or not.
Yeah, this one was one of my slides. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I stuck the audio in there, but it's not there, so I will do it again. Um, yeah.
Okay. And Monty said something about the title of this slide because the next one focuses on abuse and this one focuses on physical contact, and
Mhm.
not all physical contact is abuse. And then she added that maybe having the audio would clear things up a bit, but because you could explain, like give some examples and non-examples, of appropriate and non-appropriate physical contact and how it's a last resort. Like maybe the third bullet could be indented just so that it It is under abuse and exploitation.
Mhm.
Yeah, some of that's covered in the audio, so
Okay. Yeah. I
make sure.
figured that would probably clear most of that up. Yeah. Someone said something about maybe the audio buttons are depend on the computer it's uploaded from. I'm not sure though, because sometimes they're visual and sometimes they're not. You have to like kind of find it. Um, but that may have to do with the computer that you upload from. I'm not sure. Mm. The examples for pairing were very good. They really cleared things up and were simple but real world enough that it's not like unrealistic, you know.
Hmm.
They weren't oversimplified and they were examples that were likely to be seen on a day-to-day basis.
Thanks.
Um, Preparing to build rapport. These steps were very clear and concise, but maybe we should put like 1, 2, 3 on the steps instead of bullet points, you know, just so
Yeah,
that
that
it's
makes
not
sense.
confused in the point that like you could do them in any order.
Yeah, I
That's
can
a
do
good.
that.
No, we really liked this visual because it really breaks it down and makes it simplified. Because it's easy to get positive and negative reinforcement and punishment like mixed up because if you're not familiar with the terms and use them on a day-to-day basis, like and already have like background knowledge of it, it can be confusing, you know, because anytime you hear negative, you want to think punishment automatically, but that's not always the case. Mhm. And this is what I was talking about before, um, with the tables and visuals. Some of them are kind of hard to read just because the background is so light. So maybe we can make the
Yeah, I can see
background
that.
darker or the words darker, just so that
Hmm.
they're easier to read.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's definitely hard to read.
Yeah.
Like see when the words are smaller on this one, it's more difficult. Hannah made a comment about maybe the boxes being easier to read if they pop up individually, but
Or maybe putting them on different slides.
I think that's what she meant.
Yeah,
Like
might be
having a slide for each
mhm.
like row, you know, like positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. I guess you could see how much clearer it is when you change the background or the font, you know, and then if it's still a little bit much on this page, you could split it up.
Okay.
Um, the objectives were listed out and they were really clear and concise, and they I like how it lets you know what's coming forward without already going into detail, you know, or listing too many things. So I'm not sure if there needs to be a question mark on the end of what is HPIS, but I don't think anyone made a comment about that. I just saw that when I clicked through just now.
Okay.
Mm,
I wouldn't think so, just because it's
yeah,
like a title,
right.
but
Um, Again with like the backgrounds and the words with the coloring, but we really liked this visual. Mm,
but I just noticed some inconsistencies too, because when you had one of the slides, we go 2 slides up, One more. There's a question mark on that one,
Yeah,
but not the questions.
yeah.
So we'll just have to decide if we want to use question marks or no question marks,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then just be consistent. I kind of think we should use question marks. Uh,
Hmm.
question, even though it's part of a title, it is a question.
Yeah.
Uh, but again, we can decide as a group what we think would be best.
Yeah, I just didn't know with like the how to because it's not necessarily a question. It's like
A
saying we're going to
statement.
show
Yeah.
you how to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
this.
Maybe just on the ones that are why or what, like the WH ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm, I really like these examples just because it differentiates like clapping hands, raising your hand, or waving and stomping your feet. Like those are very simple, like boom, boom, boom requests that you can do. And then the low probability requests would be like academic work or sitting down and writing your name or something like that. So I think that really like identifies possible high probability requests because it can be a little confusing. Obviously it's different for each kid, but it really differentiates like, okay, what is simple? Like nothing
Yeah.
is too simple, too simplified, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think sometimes I agree with you. I think sometimes people get, caught up with like what is, an easy request. Trying to figure out what like the learner knows
Hmm.
like that. But when you look at like these visuals and when you know, carry out, carry it out, it's very simple,
Yeah.
um, very simple requests.
Hmm.
This slide was a little bit empty compared to other slides. So they were saying maybe write out the BIP just so that it feels a little bit longer and it's like just because some people may not know it off the top of their head, just so that it's
Mhm.
it written out, the behavior intervention plan, so they know exactly what it means. Um,
Maybe, I just thought maybe adding like a picture too might be.
yeah, someone said adding an image, some visuals, just so that it's not so empty compared to the other ones. And Mallory made the comment where to find blank instead of it, because it's like, what is it? You know, they could be confused on like what it is we're looking for. So we could say where to find fill in the blank. Like you could put whatever it is exactly that we're looking for right there. And being a little bit more, maybe adding some examples for settings,
Okay.
just so that, like being a little bit more specific for what settings you're specifying. So you could just put like indent the bullets underneath and add some examples possibly.
Okay.
Um, for these, she had Mallory had some comments about possibly being a little bit more specific. So on making sure that the staff follow the correct ratio of high P to low P, but that is really up to you guys and making sure they're in close proximity.
Okay.
But it already lists it, so it's just if you guys wanted to go into a little bit more detail on those.
It's like
Great.
changing thing.
Yeah. All of y'all's directions were very good, easy to understand and follow along with. Like you can visualize it without being like, okay, what is this that, we're talking about? Mm. Oh yeah. Hannah made a comment about possibly adding a final page listing that like you have now completed the training or like this training has been completed, just so that you're reaching the end.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
I also remember seeing a comment, I don't know where it was, but someone said about adding in rationales at the end of the knowledge checks as to why those were the correct answers.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? Because I feel like it was useful in training modules that I have done to have those kind of like rationale because sometimes you're just kind of guessing the answers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like that. You could put it um if you can make the picture a little bit smaller and put it underneath or just put it to the side of it, in a text box just to let kind of explaining why that's correct, the correct answer or using it in a sentence,
Yeah. I think that's a
that
good
would.
idea.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, we like the addition of adding the audio on the references page just so that you're letting the audience know where they can find um more research and like where this came from so that they know where to look if they have any more further questions or just want to know a little bit more detail.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. That was all from us. You guys did a great job. It was very thorough without being overcomplicated, and we really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I think our team worked.
Thank you for the super helpful feedback too.
Did you guys have any feedback on the questionnaire?
No.
The
Mm-mm. Um, we all looked through it, but it hit all the high points of what you would want from a questionnaire, making sure everything was covered. And we didn't have any comments about it or the script. It all covered everything that needed to be covered without being too much.
Yeah.
And it was easy to work through. Mm.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for all the feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
All
you.
right, I'm gonna stop sharing. All right. If we don't have anything else, I guess I can go ahead and end the recording.
All right.
Yep,
Awesome.
you can go ahead.
All right.